Howdy, y'all. I'm to record one here on a late Sunday night. Now that the NBA is done with the all the load management, um, or what they used to call regular season. Now that they're down there in the bubble, they just run around managing loads. Where I come from, managing a load probably means something different. It's something you normally do in a bathroom. But I shall digress. I'm not a fan of it. I think you play 82 games a year. People pay a lot for their tickets. When they were going to games, you should probably show up and play. You can play maybe half the game, like they do in some of the other sports, but just the whole day off thing. I have to manage my workload. I don't know. Maybe the millions of dollars would cover that, but that's just a coach's perspective and a fan's perspective, I suppose. But what I wanted to do was to do an NBA playoff preview, and this is worth the money you're having to pay to get this brilliant analysis, and courageous, particularly, which is free, so it's worth about the price of admission. So watching a lot, and I was really impressed with Damian Lillard with the Blazers out in the West, and I really think he's got to be tired. He's running on fumes. Um, and the other problem is the Blazers don't guard. If the Blazers played D, I'd give them a pretty good chance to take out the Lake Show in the first round. They ain't been playing well. Lakers have not been playing well. So I don't think that's a straight. I don't think that's a. I think that's a tougher series than the Lakers are wanting it to be. When you go 1 versus 8, you really need to dispatch in 4 or 5. I think they might go 6 or 7. I'm not going to pick every series, but that's just wanted to talk about Dame. Not just shooting from the logo, for God's sakes. In rhythm, it wasn't a heave. After predicting it back in April that he was going to do it on a TV show, I thought that was impressive. So, what I really look at is, the fact that they don't play good enough defense. But if they did, they're on a run, man. The Rockets really don't guard that well either. But we'll get into that. I'm not going to pick each series, but what I will say is, in general, I like chalk this year. I really do like the finals and the conference finals in the East to be the Bucks and the Raptors. Raptors might even be better after losing a couple key pieces there from last year. This Kawhi Leonard dude you might have heard about. They've done a tremendous job reloading. And then the Lakers and the Clippers in the West. So it's 1-2, 1-2, and that rarely happens, but I really think there's a pretty good chance of it this year. And there's some clubs that I'm willing to take a good look at, and let's just call them the don't sleep on me's. Um, or wild cards, or you know, be my guest to think up an actually clever name for these teams. But in the East, I'd really look at the Seas and the Heat. Seas and the Heatles, as they used to be called. Celtics are very talented. You got Kemba, you got a couple of really good wings. They get hot. They could make a run. They absolutely could. Um, Bucks can be had. Raptors can be had. They're not that much better um, than the Celtics are. So they've got a chance. The Heat, they're playing with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, and I like the run that they've been on. So a lot of their seeding comes from where a lot of it was from pre-COVID. They were almost through the regular season, so you really got to look at what they've been doing lately. So some of these lower seeded teams are playing some good ball. Um, Celtics and the Heat typically were. But I'm not just going straight on. I'm just looking at matchups. I look in the West. There's 3 teams that would concern me if I'm the Lakers or the Clippers. The Nuggets at 3 and the Rockets at 4. The Nuggets, they've got they can rebound. Um, they've got some decent guard play also, and they can guard. And that's a team that, if they get decent shooting and they can lock down, they can be trouble. They can be a problem for somebody. The Rockets, all you need, I make the cheeky joke about the Rockets, is all they really need is a couple of refs that won't call traveling, and so Harden will go off for 40. But anybody that actually calls traveling anywhere near what a travel actually is, then you know he'll probably go on a 3 for 41 shooting night, thinking he's Kobe Bryant, but really isn't. Um, he rolls up a lot of his points at the line. So anybody who maybe just says, you know what, shoot over me. Let's see what you actually have. That's a liability. But they can get hot. So that's a team you have to respect. But that's why I don't see them going to the finals. But I think they're going to be a problem for some teams. And the team that really might surprise you is the Mavs. They're not that far up the board. I mean, they're 7, right? They get through the Clippers. Tall order. I don't actually think they will. I think they're going to extend the Clippers though. That's going to be a tough series. Luka gets hot. They got Porzingis is playing some good ball, and they've got some things that are going to be hard to answer. This is a tough matchup for the Clippers. They get past them, the Clippers start to look really good to take the West. So it might be the Clippers are, you know, as long as they get past the first. They've got the team, and I respect the hell out of Doc Rivers. Boy, he's a great coach. But just listening to the press conferences that Doc Rivers is putting on, he's talking about the Mavericks and Rick Carlisle as a coach, another great coach. Um, it's like a love fest. It's like, come on, guys, you're supposed to give me some bulletin board material. You're supposed to, at least get somewhat hateful or throw some shade or do something. But they're just, you know, they're not going to do that because they're smarter than that. Um, Two very good coaches, though. It's going to be a really interesting series. I think the Mavs and the Clips. I think that could be a really, really good series. Um, and I think most of the good series in this playoff run are going to probably be at the conference final level, and then potentially the finals. The finals could be a rout for all I know. Um, Especially if you get into a bad matchup or the Bucks or the Raptors don't make it, and it just ends up being somebody else. And it just the matchups are bad. And being in this bubble, you just don't know what's going to happen. One of your players, you get a couple of your players go down for COVID or whatever, and you're done. So these are my courageous picks at this point. If I had to pick an actual winner, I actually do think of my final four. I think the Clippers look a lot better than the Lakers. I think they go to the final. And I actually think the Raptors could get it done. I really do. Um, I think the world of Giannis, but Giannis and Middleton, and then nothing. I mean, they don't have that much. The East is kind of weak. Um, like I said, though, the Celtics are interesting at 3. So, but if I had to guess right now, I'm thinking Raptors Clippers. Um, and if that happens, um, probably get the Clippers because you've got some experience there, and probably go 6 or 7. Um, but there's no way to go out on a limb right now and with any confidence at all because you don't know who's going to get who back. Lou Williams could come back for the Clippers and they're going to have a better playoff run, or maybe he doesn't. You don't know what's going to happen. Um, it's just you can't give it an asterisk simply because everybody had the same rules. So when you have the same rules, it's a legit title. You had to earn it. It's almost like street ball in New York or in LA. And just everybody comes to the playground, and you battle, you battle, you battle, King of the Mountain wins, and that's a cool thing. But this situation is so kind of contrived and artificial, and it's so easily set off when you lose a player here or a player there. There's just no way to handicap this thing with any amount of confidence. Um, but I do my best on this one, so I'll go out on a limb and see where we are. But I like the Celtics a lot, and I think as it goes into next season, um, especially if the Bucks don't add a lot, I like the Celtics. I like the Celtics a lot next season. Um, Stevens is a good coach. He's starting to grow into the NBA role versus the college role. Um, he's getting the respect of the players as well. So it's working out. He's a good tactician. So we'll see what happens there. But I think it's going to be interesting. They've done it right. They needed a bubble. They needed the stinking bubble to use the stinking bubble. Okay. So it's been interesting. It's been nice to have sports back, but let's see where this goes. And anybody trying to sneak in their girlfriend or sneaking in some unauthorized food or anything else could just completely throw all of it in disarray. So, for their team or for others or whatever. So just sit back and watch and just enjoy what I hope to be a really good show. All right. So have a good week ahead, everybody, and enjoy what few sports we can get to go right these days. All right. Peace, me homies.